Welcome everybody, just sorting out some of these buttons from last week. And then we'll get on to some more fun stuff. Figure that out another time. For now we have buttons to control everything. We have our programmable block, which I accidentally removed last time. We have our drills all set up. Everything in position, so we'll take a backup of this. Over there. So a couple of little things I've done since last week. I've obviously set those buttons up. I've also put this piston assembly on the side with landing gear, done that on either side. Thanks to the new collision meshes, this works incredibly well. Keen's updated those collision meshes again, so we can now get pretty much anything next to anything. This landing gear, for example, the hitbox of it comes all the way out into this box here, but the meshes have been very nicely updated to allow that to not collide, so we can retract it up like this. So good job, Keen, that's very nice. So the next step then with this machine is going to be grabbing it off of these stilts it's on, and let's see if we can actually drive with it, see what the weight is like on the suspension, and more importantly see whether this cargo box bottoms out or not. I may have to increase the strength of the suspension considerably to make that not bottom out, but obviously that will then make this quite unwieldy to drive. I will be setting a low speed limit on these wheels, which I think I may already have done, just to make sure that we aren't going to tip it over or anything silly like that. And I think I'll be setting quite a low power on them as well, because we don't want loads of acceleration. This is a work machine, it needs to just kind of think about the kind of dump trucks and stuff in a quarry. They don't go fast enough to tip themselves over, and that's what we want from this. So we jump in the front here. We have the wheels on here. So power I'm going to bring down to about 20% on there. The strength, though, I'm going to put up to 60 because I want that suspension strength quite high. Our height offset's already as high as it can be. We'll keep the friction at 50%, that's fine. The speed limit's at 30 kilometers per hour, which is actually quite slow in Space Engineers, so that's fine. And the rest of that is good. We are going to go for all-wheel steering. For now, anyway. I may change that and make it front-wheel steered at some point. And we have brakes and such, so that's all good. So I'm going to drop onto here some wheel controls because I want to be able to control this a little bit while I'm driving it and testing it. So we will decrease power and increase power here. And we'll have the speed limit on here as well. One we'll have on here is the strength for now, from the wheels anyway. And then I just want the cockpit so we can apply the handbrake. Awesome. So let's jump out then, and I just need to take off these stilts now, and to do that I'm going to do a Control Shift right click, crunch. The beauty of that is that the stilts that were remaining on there will just make sure that this didn't hit the floor and bottom out, but it did anyway. Okay, so that's fine. So we'll just take these other two stilts off. And we'll repair this cargo container that very nearly got destroyed when we dropped it off there. One of the problems of having a large cargo container or any kind of large block like this be so integral to the structural integrity of a build. It can, if that block goes, then we basically lose these pistons on the sides, we lose the back end of the vehicle, the wheels and everything. The only thing that would continue to hold it together at this point in time would be this landing gear. And that obviously it would also mean that the power on these back wheels would be cut off as well, so they'd just be free. So yeah, we just need to be really mindful of that. Also these blocks here at the back need to come off. And I think I've got some at the front here as well. Yeah, they got a deformed look. So we'll take those off as well. Now what that does mean is that these conveyors at the front here are also in danger of being scraped along the floor. So this is very definitely going to be a very slow moving, deliberate vehicle. Not the kind of vehicle we'd be going racing across the landscape in. So I'm going to stick some ramps on here at the back and the front. To give us just a little bit of a gentler slope down to drive on and off of. So let's give this a bit of a try now, and I'm guessing some people have already spotted a mistake I've made. We actually have no power on this vehicle. That's going to be problematic. It's very problematic because obviously there's not a lot of space left on this vehicle to do much with. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to stick a couple of batteries on either side. So let's get them looking like they belong as well. So we're going to stick those on there. That's going to give us some power. And I think we're probably going to want to have some other power on here as well eventually. Once we get to where we've got some uranium or something like that, then we can probably swap one of these batteries out for a reactor, and that would be plenty. Until then, it's going to rely on charging up off the base, which with 4 large grid batteries on it should take quite some time. But once they're fully charged, this thing will be able to go for quite some time as well. It's only running small grid drills, which are not that power intensive. These wheels, again, we've got the power turned right down on them, so should not be too big of a problem. So let's jump in the cockpit, take the handbrake off, and our first test is going to be over against this mountain here. Let's just roll off the front. Just nice and gentle. Okay, and I'm going to see if we can drill into this mountain and make a big enough hole that we can actually drive into it as well. And while that's drilling away, we will go and build something else. So we're going to come round onto here, and it's suddenly got night time. Let's do something about that. Let's bring the sun back. So we need to unlock that back connector, which is actually one I didn't set up on here yet. So let's do that. Which landing gear are we dealing with? That one. Let's use switch lock for that. Let's get the buttons set up. Just set this up. Hey Witchy Wish, how are you doing? that's now free. So we're going to start extending these drills. We should be starting to extend the drills. Did that not? Yes, everything's well. I've just detached this from its base, realised I had no power on the actual machine itself, which is kind of standard, I guess. And we're just going to see if we can get it drilling into here while we go build something else. Hey Thicker, didn't see you there as well. That's stream chat being a little slow to update for me today, I think. So this drill lock should be... Nope, that's looking at completely the wrong thing. I want that, please. Switch lock. So that's on green. And it's still on green, so what is going on? So button 2 is that one. That makes no sense. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is it doing that? Yeah, so that's the right stuff in there. Of course, I've set these up backwards. Never mind. So hinge vertical alignment reverse. Needs to go here. It's early, I've not had enough caffeine and I was being a bit of a doofus there. So drill spin on off needs to go there. And then our drill lock, switch lock needs to go there. And they might actually do the things they're supposed to do now. So if I hear that now, we should now not be connected, which is awesome. And then we can say extend those pistons, except that we can't because I believe they're all turned off. There we go. So they can start extending. So drills on and go somewhere a little less noisy. What we will do though is we'll extend these landing gears, which should lock to the ground when they get down there. Ooh no. No bad. That was bad. Let's undeploy those a minute. Right, so what's the extension on this? Is about 3 meters. That's good. Okay, so let's landing gear pistons, maximum distance we want to be 3.0 meters. Let's do that. Those are all retract. And then deploy landing gears again. And that should this time just lock and not lift the whole thing up. Awesome. That one didn't lock. I guess we only need one then to lock. That's fine. So I'll be interested to see just how deep into the mountain this gets. I am a little way away, but we'll see. These are all slowly extending, or should be. Very slowly, yeah. And they're all going, so good. While that does its thing, we'll come back to that towards the end of the stream and see just how well it's done, maybe a bit deeper in. So one of the things that we are going to want to do in our survival game is this thing is going to be our main drilling, I think, once we get it built. It's going to go out to an ore deposit, drop its thing down and drop its drills down, and kind of make big holes in the landscape. If we go and look at this one of the things that I was thinking about was about maybe putting some sideways drills sort of like this. Well, I can't do it with this one. Let's so on these, some sort of drills kind of like this on the ends, and the reason being that they'll fit nicely down the hole this drills, but if I was able to drill down a little bit underneath the voxels that the vehicle is sat on and we get to an ore vein, I could then make it spin, I guess. And if we had those on either end, I mean, it's a little bit long, and I'd probably have to also have some in the middle, like this, all the way down. So it's a lot more drills, a lot more expensive, but it would allow us to turn on the spin function of this, and it would kind of clear out the space underneath and drill a nice big hole, but leaving just that rectangular hole at the top. And some other improvements that I thought about as well was maybe putting hinges in here and the other side, so maybe about here or something. So when it's up, we can fold those hinges back and have it just drill a little square hole as well. So different ways, different things. I mean, I'm quite happy with this for now. It's going to have a few test runs here in creative just to see how well it actually does. But I do think once we see what this can do, it's going to be a bit of a game changer in terms of what we do in survival. And I may just build this piston assembly in survival initially to help us hollow out some areas for the base. Have them attached straight to the base so that all the materials we gather just go straight in. Probably not as big a drill rig because we don't want massive tunnels like that everywhere in the base, but it would give us a good way of kind of proving this piston assembly in a way. But having a vehicle like this certainly could make mining a lot easier, especially when we don't have the power to be running atmospheric thrusters for miners at the moment. 4 large batteries, plenty of power for a vehicle like this. I think it's going to be, it'll run for days on that. So you can see the 6 days current usage, so yeah, it's not going to be that power hungry. It will be interesting to see just how strong this hinge is. get this fully extended. And we may find that when it's drilling horizontally like this, that once it's extended a little bit, we may want to relock this landing gear at the back to hold on to this last piston. Here, this first piston here, a little more securely. But let's see how that goes. So, with that in mind, my thinking was that for some of the ore veins we're going to be digging, we'll be using that. Some will just use the mole machine that we've already been running. But we're going to need some decent, some kind of decent fighter ship now to go and take on some of those cargo ships that have been going over us. And I've done a lot to do with the mining and the drilling, and we've got a lot of catching up to do with there in survival still anyway. But if we had some kind of fighter craft early days that's going to give us at least some ability to go and have a go at some of those ships. I'm not expecting it to go terribly well the first time we try it out, but who knows, it might just surprise us. And the key to to this fighter is when Discord and I go to raid a ship or a base or something like that, we'll generally go together. So it needs to be something that is somewhat sturdy and that we can both be in. Now I'm thinking here that large grid would probably be more suitable because we can have a couple of seats in it, we can have a little bit of pressurised space. It will give us a decent chance of actually taking down one of those ships. And I think what we need to do is make our whatever ship we're going to use for piracy something that can actually bring the ship back with it as well. So with that in mind, I'm going to build us a large grid fighter ship. So I'm just going to take this platform and bring it out over here onto the ice a little. And we'll build from this again. This time we're building a ship, so I'm going to come up high. And this doesn't need to be huge, but it does need to have quite a lot of lifting capacity, because if we're going to be essentially hauling another ship back with us on landing gear, that's going to be very, very tough to carry. And we want that carrying to be kind of in the middle of the ship as well, so that we can get all of our thrusters on it. So with that in mind, let's clear off some of these buttons. Things that we need for a ship. We're going to need some batteries. We're going to need some gyros. We're going to need some thrusters, and in this case we're in atmosphere, so we're going to go with the atmospheric thrusters. I'm picking the sci-fi ones because I do think they just look a little bit nicer. It will work just as well with the regular ones. Now, because we're likely to need some additional lift, I'm very tempted to also whack some hydrogen thrusters on here. And we'll have a tank of hydrogen where we can, when we're about to lift something or we need to get that extra lift, I can just turn those on. And then we're going to need a control seat. probably some cargo boxes. Not too many on this because it's not going to be designed to haul cargo particularly, but if a ship does end up going down, I don't want to be out there and having to go back, make multiple trips back and forth to the base to fully grind it down. So having a few cargo boxes on there, maybe just one large cargo box that we can throw things in, will help. And we're going to want a first aid station, medical bay as they also call it, although that will rely on us getting some silver. So let's see where we go from here. Let's get these thrusters in place to start us off. So I'm just going to whack a couple of large thrusters there. Let's bring this out to the front, because I think the idea of this is going to be that we want to attach kind of in the middle and have the thrusters to the sides of whatever we're lifting. It might be that we do a bit of thruster damage depending on how big it is, but if we're pirating anyway, it's not going to be the end of the world. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. So they're going to be kind of there, and then I think under here we just want to come down a little ways. This. I should probably have counted how many blocks we have up here, because I think we're looking at an even number there. How many we got? 16, 17, 18, yeah, so we're looking at an even number there. So central here almost, so if I go another 3 there, we should be coming back up the other side in about the right place, I think. Just about going to hit our spot. Totally not planned at all, but there we go. So this gives us a spot we can dangle a landing gear from under here. Or even a couple of landing gear, I think. This, and that's going to give us somewhere we can lift from, and in theory we shouldn't be doing too much thruster damage then, grabbing stuff from down there. So these thrust assemblies, we're going to need quite a lot more thrust capacity. These are going to be quite expensive on the build. think it's going to be worthwhile having plenty of downwards thrust for this. And then we just need to figure out the rest of our directional thrust. So I'm still trying to figure out which way is going to be front, which way is going to be back. I kind of want to make this the front here. And if we do that, then frame this like this. This dip in the middle can become our kind of crew area. So we kind of sit under here, maybe with some windows at the front. See how that goes in a moment. In fact, maybe having a cargo box fairly central in here would be a good idea. Let's have a look. Oh, that is annoying. Of course it's going to do that, isn't it? So, these are 3, aren't they? So let's go... with 2 of them then. So we're going to have plenty of cargo space, that's not going to be a worry. If we want to grind something down out and about, not an issue at all. Lifting capacity is going to be pretty good. And now we just need to put on some thrust in each direction. So let's get, if this is going to be the back, then we almost want to just give it lots of thrust forwards. It's got equal rear then, as we are dealing. Let's see if we can't get a mirror. In place here as well. Here we go. So we can do the same on this side for the sideways thrust. Really does take care of pretty much all of our thruster needs for in atmosphere. I'd almost be tempted to maybe ditch half of these on the front and back, every other one maybe. But we'll see what the cost comes out to once we're in a position to start building this, because it might, being a bit more nimble might help it. So, if down here is going to be our floor, let's set that up. And kind of want to protect these thrusters a little bit as well, so let's bring that across there. Let's put some half armor blocks in like that. that gives us a little bit of protection under here. Perfect. And then we're going to want to take from here, we're probably going to want some kind of window, I think. So let's clear this one off. Have a look for some windows. Not sure about that. I think I'd almost want to go with something like this, but these are obviously going to be too big here. So unless I put something on the front here, let's do that. That way around so that they are dark white. Ooh, they only have attachment points in one place. That's interesting. Okay, so let's just put some more blocks in here for now. We can deal with that in a moment. And now we can put these windows along the front. And we're getting them front and back, which is nice. Gives us a nice bit of view. And then up here, I think bringing that across as it is probably the best bet. So we'll just block that off for now. And we'll put in a doorway back here, I think. Let's get inside. Same the other side. Do those one by one. And if we block these off like so, we can put a doorway in through here, but it should give us, we'll have our cargo access on either side, and it'll give us a nice airtight space once we fill in these gaps in the corners. We'll look at the interior design a little later. So top here. Turn symmetry back on. So we're going to need quite a lot of turrets on this, or enough turrets to make it at least dangerous for some of those ships we're going to go pirate. So we're going to be looking at some Gatling turrets, most definitely. But I'm also thinking rocket launchers eventually would be a good thing. The only problem with rocket launchers is that we won't have any rockets for a long, long time because they need uranium. So I'm tempted just to leave them off for the time being and just go with the Gatling turrets. And it seems sensible thinking maybe another set on or around each corner, and to do that we're going to need to bring out some conveyor tubing. On this conveyor tubing, I'm going to stick an armoured straight on the end of it like this. And the reason for that is that tubing is going to be inside, we're going to be blocking that in. But this one's going to be directly under the turret. And I'm even tempted to raise these up again by one on an armoured conveyor, just to, so if the turret explodes, it's not going to take the cargo box with it. So then, some turrets on there, our turrets on there, and we have a fair bit of firepower now, at least on the top of the ship. We're going to need to put some firepower underneath the ship as well, and I'm thinking 4 in the corners mirroring these would probably be the best bet. So first things first, let's connect these up to the rest of the system. Some structural integrity, because I'm going to take out that block there and turn it into a T connector, just like that, and then we're going to bring it straight down, another one. In fact, we can put the armoured straight on there, no pun intended. So that'll give us some more turret space underneath here. Let's have them facing the right way though. And just gives us a little bit more safety from underneath. One thing I am kind of thinking about here is where we're going to put a connector, because this ship could equally be used to go off to a trade station on the planet, and they often have their connectors probably about this high off the ground. So having somewhere that we can get a connector on here where we'd be able to connect up to a trade station would be a good thing. Okay, so this would be the right block to go in here. I'm just going to check its airtight layers. So build info is quite handy for this. It lets us see which sides of this are actually airtight. And what we can see there is that the opposite face and the top face there are airtight, but that this face over here is not. So even if I put that there, it wouldn't actually create an airtight interior, which is a little bit annoying. So we need to find a block that does. Now this block is airtight all the way around, but doesn't look especially nice in this position. This one, on the other hand, might just do it. There we go. And then I can deal with this back one here. Just like that, because the other sides of this block are airtight. As a nice transition. For those of you just joining the channel, I do have Enra's AQD armor expansion in, which gives us some additional blocks to play with, block shapes. It's a nice little mod, and it just lets me not have so much OCD when I'm building. So yeah, this the whole purpose of this stream is really to just kind of build stuff, show off my building process. Let people see kind of how I build things. You know, it may not be how everybody does it, but I like to just give away ideas and such. It's you know, you may look at some of this and go, yeah, everyone does that. Fine, that's good. It means I'm doing it right. But you might just have little tricks that nobody's seen before. Who knows? So from underneath, that's not looking terrible. I wonder if we can get a spotlight down here. Yeah, you probably recognise the MA spotlight pack. so I can actually see what I'm doing. And so you guys can see as well. So while I'm building here, do you guys use mods? What are your favourite mods? Can be block mods, can be not block mods, you know, kind of script mods, things like that, whatever. What's your favourite mod? Favourite mod has got to be Build Vision. It's just so much use to do stuff like this, to copy and paste settings from one block to another. It's just really probably the most useful or utilitarian mod that I have in every single save. So looking at where to put a connector, I am thinking maybe just in line with this. Maybe bring it over from there. That for a minute while I get some protection over these cargo boxes. That is probably going to be the more important bit I do today. I do like using combinations of the normal slope and the 2x1 slope. It can give an interesting detail on the outside of a ship. As well as when you're actually out here, a little bit easier of a ramp to walk up if the ship's at a bit of an angle or something like that. So utility and functionality, aesthetics, I suppose. So like here, to make that match, I might just do something like that, a little bit more. And of course it gives that little bit extra connection point as well. We can't get anything in that space because of the turret, location of the turret, so I think I'm going to bring these turrets actually one further out on the top. Whoops, that was wrong. We'll deal with those in a moment. So we're going to go one block further out there, and this is why we work in creative. So we make these mistakes in creative, and then when we're using things in survival, it's not going to be a big deal. Back on. There we go. I think that looks a little bit more balanced as well. So now on these corners, we should be able to fit in a block or two. And we'll just close it up like that. You'll notice I don't have the armour edges either. That's another mod by Enra. In his AQD set, so AQD no armour edges. I just find the armour edges look a bit ugly, especially when you have additional armour blocks. Okay, I think we're good there. So now if we come underneath, and I've done the same thing again, I put an elbow in there, didn't I? So I think underneath the turrets were in a good spot, so I'm going to keep that. I'm going to put our T connector in here. That's AQD conveyor expansion, by the way, along with these armoured conveyors. Okay, so close off that under there. It gives us a little bit of space here. Now this is currently going to be for use on Earth-like, so I think we don't need any fancy storage tanks or O2H2 generator. I might just see if I can find somewhere sneaky to stick a vent on the outside that can pressurise the inside for now, and that'll work just as well on Alien Planet or on Mars, just to bring atmosphere in and condense the O2 in the inside. Let's close that up. suppose we can do a similar kind of treatment to what we did above there and just close that off like that, just to give it some protection. And then on the corner we actually, well, I think we do actually have a block that transitions between these. Pretty sure I've seen one. There we go. That one will do it. So that gives us... Let's go the right way up. Hanging upside down. That's interesting. So this back area here really is just a viewing area more than anything. In here is going to be our actual cockpit, so let's get our two flight seats in. Yep, because this is for me and my wife to play with, so we'll have two seats. I always take the left, and so we make that the main cockpit, and my wife, Discord, will take the right hand one and probably use that to control guns. And I forgot to turn off symmetry, so we'll just get rid of these two at the back. Okay, and I'm actually thinking these walls here will be better off as batteries. It gives us the extra we need power wise. And I'm actually tempted to block in all of this with batteries and then put some kind of connection through here from there to give us a cargo access point. Yeah, let's do that. Right, let's do this way. Like so. Okay. So we still need to protect this bit in here to make it airtight. So the way I'm going to do that is with doors. We're going to use the sliding door, which is airtight all the way around. And we'll put one in there, and one in there, and then the old style catwalk plate to go up there like so. So that airtights all of this. Now we just need to bring this down from up there, and to do that I'm going to stick one of those fancy T connectors in just there, and then we'll just have a cargo box, just a regular cargo container in above there. So we have some cargo access in our cockpit. I think we'll do the same back here as well. We'll have some cargo access punched in. Where are we going to put it? Yeah, I think above the door is probably going to be the best bet here. So we're going to go for that one there. We're going to stick that T connector in facing this way. We're going to have a elbow there and then another cargo box in just there. Keeps it all nice and airtight there. And then we'll put some doors in on the outside. Like so. So now we just need the vents, and the vents I can do the opposite way. So that's right up against that wall, which means right up against this wall here we should have another access point, which we will take out from there and get that downwards connector in there. Now I would normally, you would put in a vent in here like this. So number 6, we would normally stick a vent in there, and you'd have this kind of ugly, kind of raised bit here. You can handle that with a grated catwalk across or something like that that's not airtight. However, in this case, because this bit isn't airtight, we need to do something a little different. I don't particularly want to have the vent sat down in the room like this. And that's where this add-on, this mod comes in, and it is a conveyor air vent. So we have an air vent that is also a conveyor support, sorry, a conveyor junction. Just one face of it is an air vent, and it just lets us sit it in like that. If we close the door, we are airtight. Awesome. So then in the back here I'm going to do the same thing again, except this time because we've got a cargo box here, I can just pop that off there and stick our conveyor air vent right on the side of it, and it's already conveyed in. And if we close these doors, we're airtight here as well. This corridor doesn't need to be airtight, it's small enough, it's not going to really matter. Again, we don't really need airlocks to the outside, but we can put them in anyway, like so. Gives us a way of maintaining the airtightness in the back here. And now we just need to worry about our connection point. And it's night time already. So, for a connector, any suggestions, anyone? Any ideas? Here. What did we do? Okay, well I think we can tidy this up a little bit. Just like that. It makes it look deliberate. Okay, so for a connector, very, very much open to ideas on this one. punch a hole here. Let's have a look. We're kind of going to be in the way of the door, but actually let's turn off symmetry before I do that. So we've got a pipe there. I almost want to just run it out the back here like a little exhaust. Let's give that a shot. Let's see what it looks like. So we'll take that T connector off there. Curved pipe. Curved pipe. Actually, let's take a curved straight, corner straight. Straight, corner armoured, should I say, armoured corner. Need more caffeine. So for those that are wondering, it's about 20 past 11 in the morning here in the good old UK. So, question then for chat, should we have straight out armoured like that, or should we make it tubes? What do you think would look nicer? I'm leaning towards tubes. So I'm leaning towards the tubes on there a little because it kind of looks a bit of a mess with just the armoured sticking out. I wonder what they look like painted. First of all, let's... Yeah, I'm not sure. I still think it might be better with just tubes sticking out. I wonder if I just do this. stick the connector right there. Yeah, that doesn't look too terrible, I suppose. I mean, it's more than likely going to get shot off every time we go into combat, but there you go. We'll see how it goes. If it does get shot off every time, I may make it the armoured conveyors. But I prefer the look of it without. So, we've got ourselves a nice little ship here. Time to do some painting. So, let's just add a block there so I can quickly flick between the two. So colour-wise on this, it's going to be a combat-y ship, so I think something in a grey, a battered grey, would make sense. And I want to give some of these neons a go as well, so I quite like this blue. Let's see what we can do with this. So that gives us that. I'm a little bit tempted actually to rearrange this end bit. To give us that kind of striped effect all the way along. Yep, let's make the engines a target there. Here, shoot here where the light is. I don't mind that too much if it looks good. Okay, so we're going to go black on the turrets, I think. interestingly, underneath didn't get the memo about the colour by the looks of it. Okay, and then underneath, let's get that all done as well. I keep forgetting that this paint gun's actually a mod as well. It's so useful and it's in every single game I run. So it kind of feels like it's in vanilla for me. Okay, so this thing I think can be black, just to give it a bit of contrast. We've got everywhere. It looks suitably dirty and battered. Okay, so I would bet some of you think I've forgotten about the gyroscopes. I had. You would be right. However, I did leave plenty of space in here for gyroscopes. That gives me quite a lot of gyroscopes there for such a small ship, so I'm going to be happy with that. That'll give us some good manoeuvrability. And I think I'm probably going to stick a few more batteries in the top here as well. It makes the ship a little bit heavier, but I think it is probably worthwhile having the extra power. On here. There we go. Why was that? Oh, I see. Because these need to be... do that without the symmetry on, then it only hits that bit. So what do you guys think? How does it look? So I think we are just about done there. If any of you did just hear a dog barking, you were not imagining it. That was my dog deciding that her shadow had offended her somehow. So we'll get all these painted up in here. Okay then. So we're almost all painted. Which I think is looking good. So now we just need some lights in here. And we'll see if we can't use some corner lights, I think. Just in here. And put the same in here. And I like to shift scroll down once on the blue and shift scroll down twice on the green, just to give it some a little bit of warmth. So then we're going to go home, insert and page up to copy, and then home, insert, page down to paste that there, and then we'll do home, insert, page down again, and one more time. Gives us, if I turn my light off, not a lot of light in here, but if we get in here and we'll go and just grab each of those, and let's make the radius 6 on those. There we go, gives us a bit more light in here, a bit more warmth. It's almost kind of purplish look. I think maybe 8 would be better as well. Just to make sure we're properly lit up. So this backspace here gives us somewhere we can put some extra things if we want to. I could always put in a couple more cargo boxes and pipe them in for some extra storage. I might actually stick in some armory lockers on either side, just to give us a place to stick some weapons and ammunition in here. Of course, I mean, we can always stick it up there, but having a little bit of backup gear on us in there won't hurt. And in this side, I think we're going to need a toilet, aren't we? We're definitely going to need a toilet on a long haul to go fetch a ship, so that's going to be one of the points. And let's make it a little bit more home now. I've got to have my cups of tea, so need a spot just to make a cup of tea when needed. And we will we'll have a bathroom as well in here. It's you know, we're going to be out for a while in here. We want to be able to nip and relieve ourselves, grab a cup of tea when needed. Got to have the caffeine. So I think we're done on this one. We have our nice little flying piracy ship. And whilst I think about it, if we just change this for one of those conveyor air vents and stick that one on depressurize. Now, if we come inside, we should actually have air that can come through this. And the same here, we've got fully pressurized capabilities. And we get our air in through this vent here. Awesome. So while we'll leave that there and let's go have a look, see what the drill is doing. So we're still, we're nowhere near fully extended. And that is making quite the nice, oh dear, I think we found a flaw. I do believe we're going to need another row of drills here. Or at least one extra drill. To clear this. Left some little bits out, but I mean on the whole it's cutting the right place, so let's reverse those pistons. Sorry, it went very dark there for a moment. Oof, I think are well and truly stuck on this rock here at the moment. So let's grab a drill. There we go, that looks like it's moving again. Okay, so we'll pull that out, and I think what we're going to do there is probably just put a conveyor junction in here and here, and have a drill pointing downwards from there. We'll have to see how that plays with our tilt-up capability. It may not play nicely there. We'll have to have some consideration of that. And we may have to have a bit of a rethink on how we make this mobile, make this drill rig mobile. I like the idea of having a drill array, but being able to make it more flexible, so less drills but still be able to drill out this amount would be nice. And to that end, I'm thinking that some more pistons in here would probably be more useful as well. I'm a little bit disappointed that got caught up on there. I was hoping we'd have been a bit deeper into the mountain, but I think it's a good learning experience, and we can we now know that these drills are not covering enough area to let this rotor and piston extend properly. In fact, what I could do that would probably fix that problem entirely would be to drop down this row of pistons, this row of drills by one small block. Just put one extra conveyor in here. That would bring the whole assembly down slightly. It wouldn't interfere too much with the hinge, and it will give us the clearance we need on the rotor as well. So let's do that. Let's get that done here while we're here. So just the tube will do. 1, 2, 3. 7, and then let's get that drill back on there. Okay, so if we go back into here and let's turn those drills back on, and I need to put them in the group first. Okay, so we'll see just how well that does. Hopefully that's enough to just clear that rotor, and that's all we have to do. If it still gets caught up, then I guess we're redesigning the drill head next week. That's certainly something we can do. I mean, if we're going to redesign the drill head, it might also be worth redesigning the piston assembly just slightly, just kind of to make it so that the last piston that attaches to the drill head is actually in the centre. Either in the centre at the bottom or the centre at the top, doesn't really matter. The top would probably be easier. Probably a good idea to have a look at what we've got in the storage here as well. So in that small amount of time we have over half filled the large storage container there, and we have filled all of these small storage containers, so I think it's definitely going to be worthwhile having some kind of handoff vehicle on this. Something that can come alongside, connect up to offload as much stone as possible and carry it back to the base. Probably another large grid vehicle just made up of large storage containers, so we can empty it fully on each trip. Just use the one that's on the machine itself as a buffer, so we'd have a vehicle connected up on the side, on either side, with maybe 3 large storage containers on each. When they get full, they go off back to the main base to drop off. While they're away, the drills keep going, filling up this storage container, and hopefully the haulers get back in time to deal with it before we start destroying stuff. So look, I'm not convinced we're going to miss that still. So we'll let that carry on extending and see what happens, see if we actually do miss it or not. Blue 7, I think they do, but you obviously in creative mode you don't take damage, so they will attack, they will shoot at your vehicles and do damage to your vehicles, but they won't do damage to you. We can prove that actually, so let's spawn in something not terribly aggressive. That'll do. So if I spawn something in just out here, yep, and it's upside down, but that won't matter for these purposes. I just need to access a terminal on it. So that is now hostile grid. Nothing will shoot at it because I have weapon core in, which doesn't... it won't see this grid as a threat, so let's pick one that will be a threat. I'm just going to take a copy of this and stick it way over there out of the way. We'll use this one, I think, to do that. So let's pick a vehicle that's got some turrets on it. This is a rover I made some time ago. Quite heavy, so it might just go crunch when it drops. Bounce. There we go. So this is made mostly of heavy armour. It has 6 turrets on it and 2 heavily armoured decoy blocks. Got some little turrets around the sides. What I'm going to do is make this an enemy, space pirates. And I guess that answers your question, Blue 7. So MES and other aggressive enemy mods will still spawn the ships in creative. They still work just like they do in survival mode, and this is just proving that they will shoot at each other as well. They will shoot at you, they will shoot at your grids, your grids will shoot back. And damage can be done. Now these are weapon core turrets, so as soon as all these turrets on this grid are destroyed and gone, they will stop shooting. So we've got 2 more turrets on the front. That it's going to take a while for them to get through this armour, because this is heavy armour. It is interesting though that the turrets have pretty much totally ignored the decoys. Sorry, I was having too much fun with the DACA there. But I do find it very, very interesting that the weapon core turrets are completely ignoring the decoys there. There are 2 powered decoys on that grid, and the turrets are going after the guns first. So that means weapon core is basically makes the decoys redundant by the looks of that. I wonder if that was the intention. turret's going to be gone, and now they're shooting at the decoys. Very, very interesting. So this grid shouldn't have any threat score left now. It should be well and truly de-threated, which means that as I understand Weapon Core, it should have stopped shooting. There we go. Okay, so that did quite well. I mean, given that both of those are creative grids, and the rover had quite a few guns on it and was heavy armour, to say that it only managed to knock out one of these turrets here and one thruster. Oh no, it didn't even knock out a thruster. Did a bit of damage, but didn't actually knock it out. I'd say that's a fairly successful test of our ship as well. In that, I mean, if it can deal with that and the amount of turrets that had condensed in one place, dealing with most of the MES spawned ships, which are mostly light armour, and where you can generally get a bead on one or two turrets at a time. I think that bodes very, very well for the use of this ship as a piracy ship. It will give us a good way of getting some mats. All this lift on here is going to mean we can very, very easily bring the haul home with us. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. Let's go have a look how the drill's doing. So the drill, oh, that's loud. It looks like we are just clearing the rotor now. Only just. I feel we might still want to do something at the back here. Maybe something like that. I think that's going to be the requirement there, is to have that drill there just to clear the rotor from whichever direction we're going. That'll solve that entirely then. But we are actually getting deeper into this mountain, which I'm quite happy about. Got a few little artifacts left over. That's kind of normal though. Did I just see one over here as well? No, okay. So for the purposes of creating maybe a hangar in our base, that looks like it's a fairly good test. And if we look at this now with the other drill, this other drill going under here is definitely taking out more space underneath for the rotor. And we found magnesium. Okay guys, I think that's going to be all I've got time for today. I have to go out shortly, so I'm going to leave it there, make it a shorter stream than normal. But we have got a lot accomplished today. We've done a test on the drill rig, and I think next week's test for the drill rig is going to be to retract it all and maybe see if we can mine down to some of that magnesium that we just saw, and see how that goes with it vertically mining. If that's all good, then a quick whip round of the alignment rotor and see if we can get it to drill out the bottom part of that cavern it's making at the moment, and hopefully once that's done we'll have a good idea of just how deep it goes. I'm going to leave this running and just see, so we can see how deep it goes. So next week when we come into this save, this should be fully extended and we'll be able to get a good idea of how good this is going to be from a base hollowing perspective. I think there's still a lot to do with this. We've still got an issue that we can't drive into the hole we're digging, and it might mean that we need to do a bit of a redesign to figure that out. That said, I'm really happy with the results so far, and hope you'll join me on the journey of discovery as we refine this design ready for its use in our survival scenario. We've also built a gunship that we can use to go and pirate or go and hunt some pirates in our game. Again, this is going to be quite a hefty build. There's a lot of materials in here. I mean, we've got 8 large atmospheric thrusters here for a start, which are going to be a nightmare to build in survival, but I think it's going to be well worthwhile having a ship like this in survival, so we can go and explore the planet a bit more, and we can go and take on some of those ships that keep flying overhead. All these turrets will make short work of the drones, and hopefully will allow us to board and capture some of those other ships, and once we're doing that we can repurpose those to serve our survival needs. So that's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and we'll be back on tomorrow evening for some survival streaming in Space Engineers. Hope to see you then. Good day.